So just taking these opening moments of our time together as a reclamation, bringing attention back into what is often called the womb of awareness. And my name is Djuna Devereaux, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you today at this time in your life, at this time in my life, at this moment in history. It's not an easy moment to be living in, as I'm sure you also are feeling. That might be why you're here. And just welcoming you into this space. And so I titled today, Reclaiming Our Attention and Returning to the Sacred. We're going to explore this theme of reclaiming attention from the various ways that our attention has become an economy in today's world. So the sense that our attention is drawn out in many different directions and often very intentionally shaped to create certain reactions in us. So how can we reclaim our attention, bringing the mind back, bringing the attention back into connection with the body, into connection with awareness, and into connection with the world around us, so that we can be responsive, wisely responsive. And this is a sense of returning to the sacred. And this word sacred, of course, we're here, sacred Mountain Sangha, is this thread throughout the teachings, Sacred Mountain Sangha teachings, the teachings of Thanissaro Kittisaro and of the Dharma. And that the sacred is really what is arising here and now, that has this great depth, that has this great potential for us to realize freedom in any moment with whatever is arising. And so by sacred, I don't mean anything super califragilistic. It's really each moment, just as it is. So let's begin with some devotional practice. We'll do some chanting. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. And organize my screen. Speaking of the attention economy. And let's see, Jenna, can you see that okay? Great. So this is the recollection of the Triple Jewel. Those of you who join this Sunday Sangha, you'll have chanted this before. And this is considered one of the older chants, Buddhist chants, and is chanted throughout the Buddhist world. And this is this recalling the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And I want to, as we chant or before we chant, just orient us to the second paragraph and these 4 words, Pali words that describe Dhamma, that describe this, whatever is arising in the moment, which is also the teachings with a capital D, the teachings of the Buddha, and whatever's arising now, they mirror each other. And so this second word down, sanditiko, this quality of Dhamma, that it is always here and now, that there's this sense of whatever is here, the difficulty that might be personal, or we're certainly in a very difficult collective moment, is Dhamma. And in it, and because it's Dhamma, it's part of our practice. It is the path itself. Akaliko, timeless, so that it isn't like these teachings are from the past and they're applicable now, but that the Dhamma itself is always unfolding in the present moment. It's not time bound, it's timeless. And that it is always here and now, in good times and in difficult times. It's all Dhamma. Ehipassiko. So pas, you've probably heard vipassana, means inviting investigation, sense of inquiry, to look into the nature of our experience. This is the invitation of the Dhamma, to look into, to notice the ways that our contact with experience might be generating a sense of suffering, a sense of dukkha. And opanaiko, leading inward to the source, leading inward to awareness itself, leading inwards to the boundless knowing quality of the heart. And so whenever we attune, whenever we practice Dhamma, there's a sense of being pointed back to our essential nature. Again, this reclamation. Tanisra said, Dharma practice is a reclamation. It's really stayed with me. So let's just chant it together. If you don't know it, just listen. The language has a beautiful cadence that can carry the mind and the heart home. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manusanam buddho Bhagavati Sawakato Bhagavata Namo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanaiko Pachatang Veditabo Inyuhiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Nayapatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samicipatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yadidang Chatari Purisa Yuganiya Tapurisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ahunayo Pahunayo Dakinayo Anjali Karaniyo Anutarang Punya Ketang Lokasati. So as we let the ancient sacred sounds resonate, again, find a comfortable way to be in your body. You might close your eyes or allow your eyes to withdraw from the screen. So bringing awareness, the eyes can be downward, or you could look out of a window. If that helps you to feel more safe, more connected. Our eyes are very, very powerful. I have a sense of withdrawing the attention from an outward focus to return inward to the source. Sensing the ground beneath you. That sense of the earth the earth element, stability, solidity. Maybe an invitation to relax in the places where you're holding. In the relaxation, a deeper breath might move through, or you might take a deeper breath. There's a relationship with breathing. And if bringing awareness to your own breath is difficult, you might have the sense of the planet, the natural world breathing you. And as the body begins to relax and open with the breath, might be thoughts, awareness of thoughts in the mind, or awareness of a mood or feeling tone. The sense of contact, thought arising, even a sound arising, sensation in the body, feeling tone. And as we breathe in and breathe out, we can bring our awareness there. What's happening now? Some thoughts easily arise and pass as we rest with the ground beneath us, with the breath moving. But others might hold our attention, might really pull us into wanting, not wanting, anxiety, fear. It's okay. This is Dhamma. Whatever has arisen is the essence of awakening. We can be curious. What's the feeling tone or the sensations in the body? There's some tension or grip of anxiety, leaning into or leaning away. Sense of the pleasant or the unpleasant or neither. Little by little, moment by moment, just notice if we don't add to the thought, if we don't perpetuate the feeling tone or the mood, allowing whatever is arising to be held in awareness, to be received as sensation. It might arise and pass on its own. And if the mind is moving in different directions, creating a story, we can use a phrase, a short thought, like breathing in, breathing out, or a mantra, Namo Quan Shuryin Pusa. Sometimes I just say to myself, it's okay. I might use a question. How is it now? It's an invitation into curiosity about your experience as it's arising now. Is there anxious thinking? And if so, how does that feel in the body? Or is there some despair? If so, how is it to breathe more deeply with that or bring a hand to the heart? So we're gathering the mind into the womb of awareness, receiving what is here with gentleness, with kindness, with investigation. And in the last 5 minutes of our sit together, we begin to notice the spaciousness, to listen into the silence, the space between sounds, the space between thoughts, allowing the mind to rest in the gaps, in the spaces, as thoughts, sound, sensation arises and passes within the field of awareness. Let's close our meditation with the heart mantra of Avalokiteshvara of Kuan Yin. Om Mani Padme Hum. So a reminder again of a return to the sacred, to the knowing heart. We'll chant it together 3 times. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. So today I wanted to explore this theme of the reclamation or reclaiming our attention from the many different ways that it can become fractured or drawn into many different directions, and the sense of a returning to what is sacred to you, what feels important, what feels like you would like to remain aligned with in the moments of your days. And I first just want to say that this theme, I'm bringing this theme in because it's a challenge for me. I've been self-employed for many years, over a decade, and so I actually rely on social media and the attention economy in order to reach people like you. And so in giving this talk, I'm certainly not implying that social media is bad, or we shouldn't do email, or we shouldn't read the news, not in any way. What I'm interested in for myself, and maybe you're interested in too, is when it becomes unconscious. So for me, the moment where I notice I've been scrolling for 10 minutes and I'm not quite sure what I took in, but I know I don't feel very good. And I'm noticing judgments about myself and what I'm doing starting to arise, or judgments about someone else and what they're doing, or sort of a reductive type of thinking, self and other type of thinking that is starting to arise. So what I'm interested in this talk is really the precious nature of our attention. That our attention is I think is our most precious resource, and that we literally pay it out. That's what I call paying attention. We give it in these different directions, and that our attention is limited. So we can only give attention to so many things. As we get older, start to realize, oh gosh, I can't pay attention to that many things anymore. And so the sense of the preciousness of our attention, which is our life force as well. So our eyes, what we're taking in through our eyes, what we're hearing, the contact of our body with media, with sound, with imagery, with other beings. This all, of course, has an effect. And so there's a whole economy built around attention, and attention itself is now considered to be one of our most valuable commodities. And it is shaped, it is manipulated in various ways, as I'm sure you know, for profit. So how long do you spend looking at an ad? What does that ad get you to do next? The sharing of information about your habits. So all of this is part of this economy that's aim is to capture your attention for the greatest amount of time and then get a reaction. And again, I don't like to label this, oh, that's like bad or sinister. And The path of mindfulness is a path of choice. Part of the reason why we practice mindfulness is so that we can really ground ourselves in what do I want to pay attention to? What do I want my energy to go into? Or when this feeling tone, this Vedana of like doesn't feel good, not feeling good about self, when that's arising, how can I bring awareness to that rather than be reactive and try to achieve more, buy the thing in order to bolster a sense of self? And so I wanted to bring in the Mula Sutta, which Tanisra teaches beautifully on, as do many others. But she taught 2 sessions on the Mula Sutta in August when she taught a 2-session two Sunday Sanghas on climate. She really touched beautifully on the Mula Sutta. And so in a more abbreviated form, I want to bring in the teachings of the sutta and the way they apply to our world in this sense of attention. So I'll share my screen so we can see the words of the sutta. And once again, Jenna, can you see that? Great. So the first 4 lines of the Mula Sutta, Mula means root. If you're a yoga practitioner, of course you know this, but I love this word root. So the Mula Sutta this is about basically the arising of the world, the arising and passing of the world within our consciousness, within our awareness. And what is the root of samsara? And so really this is like the subtext or the essence of the Four Noble Truths, the sense of desire. And these first 4 lines of the Mula Sutta, the first one, rooted in desire, friend, are all things. Born of attention are all things. Arising on contact are all things. Converging on feeling, Vedana, feeling tone, are all things. I just want to start with those first 4 lines. And so, rooted in desire, friend, are all things. And as Tanisra has spoke about beautifully, so this word chanda, this word for desire is like aspiration. There's also the word tanha, which you might have heard, which is like a thirst. So I mean, for me, I feel like both are true. So a thirsting or grasping or an aspiration, there's a movement towards. So rooted in desire, friend, are all things. There's a movement towards something that starts to create the sense of birth, a sense of becoming, of taking action, a sense of self. Rooted in desire are all things. Arising, born of attention are all things. So attention often follows desire, and it might also follow not wanting. So grasping in either form, wanting or not wanting, our attention goes there, right? We know this. If there's, even in the sitting, if there was a loud sound, like my cat is in the closet here where I'm teaching in my studio, and he made this really loud crash during the sit, and it was like, oh, I could feel that movement away from, right? So that's a part of the grasping. I don't like that. Or this movement towards something. So our attention follows desire. Something grabs our attention. And this is, the attention economy is incredibly skillful. As you know, now there's these lawsuits against Meta for the way that it grasps our attention in an addictive form. And that born of attention are all things. So where we place our attention, our sense of the world appears. Whatever we see, wherever we give our attention, our sense of the world appears. A sense of good, bad, of self, of other, of external, of internal. This is the often unconscious movement of attention, the way the world appears to us. Arising on contact are all things. So we see, if we have sight, we see, or if we have the sense of hearing, we hear. If we touch, if we taste, if we smell, or if there's a contact of the mind with thought. This is also one of the six senses in the Buddhist Dharma. Again, there's that contact with a stimulus, then the sense of world arises. So before our sit today, because I live on the West Coast, we had the daylight savings. So I had an extra hour, so I took a walk and I went and looked out from an overlook. And I was just aware of my eyes taking in and noticing, what am I drawn to? A sense of, oh, I like that. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I want to come back here. So this whole sense of this world arising just by seeing, just by looking, trying to bring awareness to that. Converging on feeling. So this fourth line, converging on feeling, are all things. So the first Sanskrit word underneath converging is Vedana. So you might know this word, which is a little hard to translate. It's like valence or feeling tone. And it's often delineated into pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, because it's such a complex territory. So we kind of have this, like just a feeling, like, ooh, I like that, or ooh, no, I don't. Or we're just not really aware of what we're experiencing because it's neutral, doesn't grab our attention in the same way. And so often with feeling tone, there's this contact with stimulus, there's a feeling tone, and then the mind creates a projection. Like, ooh, it doesn't feel good. I don't like this. How am I going to engineer my experience so that I don't have to feel this anymore? Oh, it's cold. How am I going to change the world around me so I don't feel cold, right? Or, the taste of something that's really good. Then how do I engineer this moment so I get more of that? So you can feel this whole sense of projection. And with the attention economy, because it is so skillfully constructed to create this world of creating a sense of what we don't have. So it's like constantly presenting it with something that we don't have, whether that's something about ourselves, a characteristic, like we're not calm enough, or we're not fit enough, or we're not, efficient enough in our work. That's the one that gets me, like, ooh, I'm inefficient. There's messages that then is like this very fast movement of the mind, like, ooh, I need that thing to complete. I'm going to be incomplete if I don't have that thing. And even incomplete if I don't post, if I don't kind of put myself into the conversation. And there's often a very strong emotional component to this. And so this can be, I'm just going to stop my share for a moment. We will come back to this screen, but just so I can see you all. So this can be like a really quick moment, right? It's like, bah, especially with the way things are constructed and also the narrowness of our focus, like on the phone. It's like very narrow. So suddenly the world is like in here, right? This whole world and all of the array of our experience around us, the sound of the bird, the kind of the light in the room, the ground beneath us. These are all things that we pay attention to in meditation. They tend to disappear when we narrow our focus to the phone or to the screen or to an advertisement. We also can tend to lose the body. Like, where did the body go? Notice this too, like scrolling like completely out of body for 10 minutes. And then when I come back to the body, there's just like maybe like an anxiety or gripping, or my shoulders are up in my ears. Like, how long have I been this way? And so that can be that contact with the world and the unconscious, array of projection, of reactivity, can, be just in a finger snap. And we're in an extremely difficult and contentious time, as you know, in the global stage. And this isn't about politics, but all I want to say, this talk isn't about politics, but all I want to say is that also often the messaging from media and the attention economy around political situations is not well nuanced, is very reductive, oversimplified, this side and that side, in the sense of an evil, in a sense of a good, and a dehumanization. And this is very, very, very dangerous. And so not only does this have consequences for what we buy and how we feel and how much time we spend on social media, it has very, very real consequences for other human beings, the more than human world, and the natural world. Because again, there's this kind of manipulation of what we're paying attention to. And so for me, I really try to seek out different sources of media, Emergence Magazine, or whatever it is, where I can get a more nuanced, a more complex understanding of, of what's going on in the various aspects of our situation. And so coming back to the sutta, the good news, there's always good news when the Buddha is sharing. So the good news are the next 4 lines. Thanissaro calls these the medicine, headed by concentration. So samadhi, we know this word, headed by concentration are all things. Samadhi, di is like a holding. Dharana is the word in Sanskrit for this concentration, this support for the mind, bringing awareness to the breath, holding a mantra, bringing awareness to the body and sensation or sound, or looking out the window, receiving sight. Samadhi, this is again gathering that kind of fractured nature of the mind, of our attention, and gathering it into awareness itself. So sometimes called yoniso manasikara. Yoni is the womb of awareness. Manas is that projecting mind. It's always kind of figuring out what is you, what is me, what do I want, what do I don't want, what is good, what is bad, right? So gathering all of that back into awareness. Headed by concentration are all things. Governed by mindfulness are all things, all Dhamma. So this word Dhamma again is again and again showing up. So governed by mindfulness are all things. Returning to the sacredness of the present moment, sati, to remember or reclaim or return, coming back into the sacredness of the moment, just as it is. To release out of the patterns, the sankhara, the ways that we put together the world. Being with how it is now, being curious about how it is now. That's the vipassana. Being curious about the hindrance. Like, I want this, I don't want this. I feel anxious, I think of this sense of jealousy or self-comparison that for me, it arises so quickly with social media. That's a form of anxiety, restlessness, what the Buddha called this hindrance of restlessness or anxiety. So noticing, ooh, how does that feel in the body? How is it to breathe with that so that we don't fuel the patterning? It's empowerment. We're empowered when we're mindful. We're reclaiming our sense of agency over our experience. Mindfulness can be this resting in the space between sound, returning to the silence, noticing the way that a sense of self is being born out of our reactivity. And then the next line, surmountable by wisdom are all things, panyuttara sabedama. So panyuttara, panya or prajna is the Sanskrit word, wisdom, clear seeing, looking into the nature of how it is. How is it now? Getting curious about our experience and touching into panyuttara or the prajna is this deep intuitive knowing or wisdom that comes out of the listening. As we know, this listening to the heart, out of the purified chitta, the purified Vedana. When we let ourselves feel into how it is, there's another stream of knowing that's beyond the cognitive. And this for me is also the source of compassion, of deep belonging, a sense of resonating with the experience of others. So I'll stop my share again and close with a quote by Ajahn Sucitto from an interview called Finding Refuge, a conversation with Ajahn Sucitto. Buddhism deals in calm, in trust, and in safety. Refuge is a very powerful term in Buddhism. It encourages a positive orientation that stands in opposition to the orientations of the global economy, of fear, of terrorism, of violence. It is not just a fantasy orientation, but one that is directly experienced as calm, love, honesty, and integrity. So let's once more reclaim our attention, return to the sacred. If you would like to join me, we'll again just bring our hands together. This gesture of palms together is in honoring of the sacred teachings that come from Asia, come from Nepal, from India, from all throughout Southeast Asia, all throughout Asia, and are a gift again that apply directly to our experience here and now. So let's close with the sound of Om, sound of Om Mani Padme Hum, the heart mantra of Kuan Yin. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. May this return to the sacred, may this gathering of Sangha, this investigation of Dhamma, ripple out into this world, touching the hearts of all beings. May all beings experience safety. May all beings experience peace. May all beings remember the sacred nature of attention, of the heart's knowing. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this morning. And if you can, love it if you wanted to stay and share your thoughts or your questions about this theme. We've got about 20 minutes. And so anything you'd like to share. And I've also thank you. Sorry, yep, I was just looking at the chat. Michael, if you'd be willing to put the PayPal link in the chat, that would be great, because I'm still in the spacious world of the sacred. Not that PayPal's not sacred, but this is how we receive donations for these teachings, and the donations go to all of the teaching team and also to support Sacred Mountain Sangha. So much gratitude for that. And I wish you a beautiful Sunday. And we should all be taking care of ourselves as Kathy is. So may we, as best we can, resource, take care of ourselves in this time. Be well, everyone.
You too.